guys, what's up? It's Sarah or Sacheu or Sarah Chung. You like my new intro? So today I wanted to do a little transformation and do a look inspired by my favorite Instagram filter. If you follow me on Instagram, you probably already know which filter I'm talking about. It's this one, the cute shining one. It's just my favorite filter. It has this cute tint. It makes my skin look perfect. The thing I love the most about it, unlike a lot of other Instagram filters, it doesn't do this to my eyes. This is what the filter looks like. It contours your nose, makes your lips a little bit more plump, and it has like a really cute peachy blush with glitter freckles. So let's start with foundation. I already put my contacts in. This is going to be a full coverage look. We're gonna try to apply a filter on my face with makeup, so this is going to be a full coverage look. This challenge is actually inspired by Strashme, and she's so talented. You probably already know her, but if you don't, go check her out. You can definitely use a primer beforehand. I didn't because I used a sunscreen, and the sunscreen has a really nice finish, so I just felt like I didn't need primer today. Next, I'm gonna use the Makiage Multi-Use Perfecting Concealer. This is in the shade 14. I actually just used this as a color corrector. It has a more of an orange undertone, and I have not been getting enough sleep. Also, if you hear creaking, it's not because I'm farting, it's because I have a really shitty chair. Next, I'm using the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Instant Retouch Concealer. I don't know why they still don't have a hydrating concealer. I've talked about this concealer before. It's one of my favorites, but I really wish they would come out with one that pairs well with the hydrating foundation. Similar texture as the hydrating foundation, but higher coverage. That is what I need. I'm just gonna use this to highlight my cheekbones and brighten my under eyes. And then I'm gonna use a third concealer. This is the Dior Forever Skin Correct Concealer, which is probably one of my all-time favorites. Might be better than Shape Tape. And I'm just gonna dot this around my nose. So the reason why I use so many different concealers, they all have different purposes. The Fenty one, I feel like has pretty good coverage, but it's mostly great for creating like a very clean, smooth canvas. So that's why I like to use this to highlight underneath my eyes, to really brighten my cheeks. Whereas the Dior one is so full coverage and it looks so good. It's like Facetune is like my favorite concealer when it comes to hiding blemishes. It will hide pimples, wrinkles, bad credit. Next, I'm gonna use the Fenty Beauty Cream Bronzer in the shade Macchiato. The cute shining filter definitely gives you a little bit of a tan. So I'm trying to warm up my whole face. My opinion on filters really changed throughout the years. I'm very open about using Facetune and all that stuff for Instagram. I mean, for a while I was kind of resistant to using filters on Instagram stories all the time. But because I feel like I'll get used to how I look with the filters on, and I'll start thinking that there's something wrong with how I look in real life. But that really never happened for me, and I actually really appreciate how sometimes when I wake up and I have something to say, but I don't want a bunch of people going like, oh my god, are you sick? I still post no filter photos every once in a while. Also, you can just watch my YouTube videos. But one thing I really appreciate about Instagram story filters, there's a disclosure. Like when you use a filter on top of the story, it tells you which filter they're using. And I think it's a really good compromise because you're not misleading anybody to think that you naturally look like that. I mean, the ones that I use always has sparkles and freckles and all that stuff, so obviously I'm using a filter even if you don't see the disclosure. I feel like that's a really good happy medium between like people who just don't want to show up on Instagram stories looking like they just, you know, came home from war, but also not misleading people into thinking that's just what I look like. Now I'm using the Rare Beauty concealer brush. Using the same bronzer, I'm just going to contour my nose. I usually wouldn't use such a warm color to contour, but the filter contour looks really warm, and I kind of want to mimic that warm, almost cartoonish type of contour. But yeah, I would love to hear what you guys think about the use of filters on Instagram. So the nose contour in the filter looks exactly like the baking method where you bake the side of your nostrils. I've never been a huge fan of that method, but we're gonna do that today. I'm gonna use a sponge for this, and I'm going to just lay this down right next to the contour. I'm gonna go into brows. I don't think the filter does much to my brows. It's just a pretty natural brow look, so I'm gonna do that today. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of the Foxy upturned eye filter, and it's not really even because I think it's racist. I just think, why does every filter that's popular need to have that function? Now I'm gonna do blush. I'm gonna use the Dior Backstage Rosy Glow. I love this blush. Ever since I got this about a month ago, I don't think I've used any other blush. Like, I actually don't think I've tried any other blush. So the filter puts the blush right here, so I'm gonna just pat this on. just the most beautiful rosy coral. Personally, I think the most important thing when picking a good blush is just how it looks with your undertone. Not every blush is gonna be for everybody. So when I find something that really works for my skin, I'm not gonna lie, it's hard for me to let go. I'm actually gonna apply this up like that, like how I usually apply my highlighter. I'm being very heavy-handed with the blush. In the Filt'r, there's also blush on the nose, so I'm going to apply a lot of it right at the tip. The eyes look pretty straightforward, there's nothing extra, so I'm just going to contour my eyes with the Kaleidos Cool and Light palette. Nothing fancy, just a little bit of warm contour. Next, I'm going to apply some lashes. These are from Kiss. Okay, the lashes are on. I'm just going to use a liquid eyeliner to blend in the lashes. And I'm just going to do a little coat of mascara. It's a tubing mascara, and it's probably my favorite tubing mascara, especially on falsies or when I have lash extensions on. It doesn't mess with your falsies or lash extensions, and it's really easy to remove at night. Now I'm going to dust off all the baking that we did, and I'm going to use the Dragon Beauty Dragon Heart Transformation Face Powder. I'm going to use the peach shade and just put this right underneath the eyes. Look at how that under eye circle just disappeared. Back to the cheeks, and I feel like I just need to be a little bit more heavy-handed with the blush. Now I'm going to use the Colourpop Freckle Pen. So the freckles are mostly on the nose. I'm just dotting this all over. Blending that in. I actually applied quite a lot. Now there are a couple of actual sparkles on the cheeks, so I'm going to use the Fenty Beauty Wet T-Shirt Vivid Liquid Eyeliner to draw some actual sparkles on. And I'm going to apply the Colourpop Creme Gel Liner. This is kind of a pale yellow. I'm just gonna go over the white liner with it. So the last thing I'm gonna add to my cheeks is the Colourpop Disco Lady, which is one of their glitterly obsessed glitter pot. I love using this because it's so easy to use. I'm gonna pick up a little bit of product. I'm just gonna dab this where I put the freckles and use it kind of as like glitter freckles. I love that because it comes in a pot. You don't really need any adhesives. You can kind of just dab it on. And there you go. For my lips, I'm going to use the Carly Bible Il Makiage collab. I'm going to overline a little because the Filt'r definitely makes your lips look more plump. And because of quarantine, I haven't had lip filler in like over a year. We're gonna work with what we got. And then I'm going to use Glossier Generation G. And then top it off with NYX Soft Matte Lip Cream in Cairo. And this is the finished look. That is it, you guys. I love this look. I took a couple selfies just now and this is so cute to recreate. If you want to recreate this look, tag me. I would love to see it and repost it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new here, please subscribe and I'll see you next time. Bye.